Greetings folks, in this CCNArchive we're now going to start configuring Cisco devices with IP addresses. In this particular lab we're going to cover doing it on a switch using SVIs, switched virtual interfaces, and also on a router using its physical gigabit Ethernet interface. Hope you enjoy. But what I will do is I'm going to configure the switch with an IP address, and I will then verify that connectivity between those two devices. So I'll go to my PC and I'll go to the desktop, my terminal, and OK. So I'm on the switch currently, and let's imagine that all our basic config is done. Okay, I'll go into configure terminal, which takes me to global configuration mode. And to configure an IP address on a switch, what I need to do is I need to go into the interface, VLAN, and then VLANs have multiple different numbers, but the default one that we're going to use all the time for a long time in our studies is VLAN 1. So now that I'm in this interface signified by the -if, I can assign an IP address to this device. And the way that I'll do that is by using what I like to call the IP-add command, but really it's just short for IP address. So IP space add, which, like I say, if I press tab, is just short for IP address. So it's always nice to remember, if you want to add an IP address, IP add. So we write IP address, and then I'm going to now we're given the option. I could select two options here. I could select one where I type the word DHCP. That's where an IP address will be dynamically learned, but I don't have a server in this network to be doing that job for me. So I need to actually plumb in an IP address myself. And you can see here in the help feature, it's represented by an A, B, C, D. That's because if in the help they'd put actual numbers in there, people would think that that's the numbers they actually need to type into the device. So they've put A, B, C, D to kind of let you know it's the format of an IP address that I'm looking for, not necessarily A, B, C, and D. I'm looking for that format, but I need the numbers, okay? So in this instance, I'm going to set my switch up with the IP address of 192.168.0.2 because I can. Now if I do space question mark, it's going to say the same, A, B, C, D, but this time it's the IP subnet mask. Now we'll learn all about subnet masks later, so don't worry just now. All you need to do is do 3 255s, okay, with a .0 at the end. So 255, that's 1, .255, 2, 255, that's 3, and .0, okay? So once you've done that, you can press enter, and that IP address is now assigned to the switch. The other thing that we need to do though is we need to make sure that this interface is administratively up. And to do that, we need to do what's called a negating command, weirdly enough. So what you'll find is that with commands on the Cisco iOS, if you say have this IP address, let's say I typed it in incorrectly or I'm on the wrong interface. What I can do is I can negate the statement by pressing up, getting the command back up, and then typing control and A, and that moves my cursor to the front. And I could negate the entire command, removing it just by putting a no in front of it. Now that gets rid of the IP address on my interface. Okay, so let's get that back. Right. So now that I've got that there, on the interfaces, most of them are on, certainly on routers anyway, they all are, but they might have the shutdown command already in place. So what we need to do is we need to tell it to not be shut down. So no shutdown negates that statement, so it gets rid of that shutdown status. So we issue the command no shutdown. Now there is a shorthand for that, it's where you write no shut, but just be careful with it because it can typically end up in a typo which would say no shut Sherlock. Yeah. So as soon as I issue that no shutdown command, you'll find that we've got this message comes up on the screen saying the status has changed to up. So in theory, we should be able to communicate with this device now. So let's see what we can do. So if I now go to close the terminal window and I'll go to my command prompt, I'll issue the command ping, and I'm going to put in a -t, which just means it's going to keep going and going and going and going. It's never going to stop, okay, until I intervene. And I'm going to type 192.168.0.2. I'll put a typo in there. There we go. Okay, and away it goes. So this ping is going to keep going and going and going. I should be able to come back to it, but you'll see that it's saying request timed out. Now, that can sometimes happen when you first start pinging, but in this instance, it's not working because it can't actually go anywhere. So let's assess why. Well, firstly, this PC does not have an IP address. So we need an IP address on both devices in order for them to communicate. So I'm going to go to the IP configuration, the first app there, and I'm going to assign a static IP address, and I'll manually type it in, 192.168.0. And I'll make this .10 because I can. Okay, now if I press tab, the subnet mask automatically completes, and I've not configured it yet, but I will program my default gateway as 0.1. So when the time comes, I'll configure my router with that IP address. Okay, for now though, it's just a dead end. Nothing is actually there. So now if I go back to that command prompt, that ping's still going, but it's still timing out. And that's because for those keen-eyed ones of us, you might have noticed there's not actually a copper cable that connects the switch and the PC together. This is the console cable that's connected at the moment, and no data flows over that. So this ping request that I'm trying to do, it can't use that cable in order to get across. So what I'm going to do is go to my cable selector here, grab a copper cable, connect it to fast Ethernet here, and connect it to my fast Ethernet on the switch. Just any of the ports is okay at this point in time. And you'll see that this light goes orange. Now if I pull my PC up, you can see it's still going and it's still timing out. But what should happen is when this light here goes green, we should actually start seeing data traveling across it. So what I might do is fast forward time just a little bit. I'll keep this on top. Fast forward time, light goes green, and then straight away you can see I'm now able to ping. So that is me verifying my connectivity and setting up my device with IP addresses. The joy of this whole system, I can close that now, is that on routers, we can also configure IP addresses using exactly the same commands. We just need to be in interfaces. So terminal, enable conft interface gigabit Ethernet 000 is one of my interfaces on this device. Unlike a switch, you can't actually assign an IP address to physical fast Ethernet 01 or gigabit Ethernet 01. You can only assign IP addresses to switch on a VLAN. I'll explain why in another video another time, but on routers we can do it on every individual physical interface. So I can go IP address 192.168.0.1, 255.255.255.0, issue the no shutdown command, and let's connect it up. Oh, helps so I'm clicking on the right screen. So in this one, I have to make sure on the router end I connect to that actual interface. So there we go. I'll fast forward time again so those lights are green. And now from the PC, let's try and do a quick ping to .1 and make sure that that works. It does indeed. Thanks for watching, folks. Really hope you enjoyed that one. Please remember, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want. If you want to see more, please let us know. All the best. Catch you later.